And welcome in to another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montia, occasionally known as your mayor of this joint. Of course, this man next to me is the people's producer, the one you guys come to see. It's the one and only Damon Dog himself. And Damon, we had ourselves quite the game tonight. Another semi-listless night from the offense, but the Diamondbacks find a way to win this one against the Pittsburgh Pirates team by a score of 4-3. This is their 18th comeback win of the season. Dare I say the answer backs are back?
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it at least. Recently, in recent memory, they've been having a lot of comeback wins here. And the problem here is that essentially every other wild card team can't stop winning either. That's the thing that's the biggest issue.
That's the problem. Yeah.
The D-backs are in fact back, though. We are in fact a wagon. We're so back, Derek. We've never been more back.
We've never been more back. And it's crazy to think that anybody didn't think we would be back. So I guess I have to put the shirt back up in the shop because we took the answer back shirt away, and the answer backs are back. This team is back. This team is now 54 and 50, which makes the first time this season that the Diamondbacks are 4 games or more over 500. I mean, and again, like the Diamondbacks now not only went out at the trade deadline, not even waiting until the trade deadline, they got their shopping done early. Mike Hazen isn't out on Christmas Eve like Jesse Friedman searching frantically for a gift. He got that shit taken care of in November on Black Friday. He's chilling and he's got his feet up and he's done shopping, but you know, he might not be. But what he did get was the thing that the Diamondbacks needed the most, which was a left-handed reliever.
Yep.
And AJ Puck is outstanding. So not only do you have that addition coming to this team, but we still know that the Diamondbacks have Merrill Kelly and allegedly Eduardo Rodriguez waiting in the wings right now to return to this team. And I mean, that's a complete team. That's a really complete team. The Diamondbacks are having trouble finding places for guys like Jake McCarthy, who's been excellent this season, to even play. And again, there was a great comment on our video about, you know, why Cody Bellinger is being, you know, tied to Arizona, that like Jake McCarthy is right now is playing better than Cody Bellinger, and the Diamondbacks can't find place for him to play. Where would I still have a hard time understanding where certain position players would play, mostly maybe an infielder, and I could see that maybe being a move they make, but right now things are looking good for this team, and it's another close victory. That's another thing about this win. It is a 4-3 victory that the bullpen was able to do an excellent job tonight, close things out. Of course, we'll talk about them here momentarily, but it was a night where Zac Gallen didn't look sharp out of the gate, and yet despite how things looked in maybe the second or the third inning, pretty bleak at that point, they turned it around and they did the thing tonight.
Yeah, I mean, happy to see that out of Gallen because, like you said, I mean, he started off not so good. I mean, that's not exactly a secret. He was getting ripped pretty hard there for a second. It looked like another bad Zac Gallen performance coming off of injury. Like after, you know, me, Johnny, and Bo did the 999 challenge and Zac Gallen said, I'm going to go and shove a one-hit game right in your stupid face. He essentially has been pretty bad after that.
It was just to spite you guys.
Yeah, it feels personal, but that's okay. But yeah, I mean, it looked like another one of those lackluster performances that we're not used to seeing out of Zac Gallen.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he just starts retiring batters left and right.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, when we talk about it not starting great for him, he walks Andrew McCutchen. He does strike out O'Neal Cruz, which he did twice, but then he gives up a single to Nick Gonzalez. He hits Rowdy Tellez with a pitch, which is understandable because there's a lot of space there. I'm just saying he's a big guy, and gave up a 2. I'm just trying to excuse Gallen's behavior there, but then he gives up a 2-run single, which he deserves, and I deserve, I guess, for saying that. But to Joshua Palacios, but and that was more of the second inning. I think that was the thing is we didn't really see him rebound there in the second inning. He gives up a single to Joey Bart and then an RBI double again to McCutchen, who just, I mean, how is that guy still beating us? That's disgusting to see, right? But Zac absolutely bounced back after that. He got 17 whiffs today, 9 of which were on his knuckle curve, and he just mowed them down after that. And again, we've talked about this with Merrill. We talked about this with Gallen. One of the things that makes them the elite pitchers that they are is even with things falling apart the way they did, with even, like you said, how hard he was being hit early in this game, he still managed to turn things around and give the team 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, and 6 Ks. And like, that's a solid day for any starting pitcher out there on the mound. That's a quality start. And, you know, again, that's something that you can, you know, you give you a chance to win. And it did today.
Yeah. And like you mentioned earlier, like if we can get Gallen pitching like this with Merrill coming back soon, I mean, that's really where the D-backs go to the moon. Like, we have most of the position players healthy. Looks like we have the horses in the pen now. And I just need my sweet baby prince Merrill Kelly back in my life. That's all that I
know.
need.
I know.
And
I know
that
safety, that security blanket, you know, that just it makes you feel so safe. Brett Johnson, by the way, says O'Neill made me $60. So this is from Mr. Cruz. Sent us a super chat. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you,
Brett.
And Patrick Wayne Collect says only took half a season. Feels like they have found their stride. Ceiling still high. Need a consistent Corbin and Kelly back healthy. Snakes alive. Let's go. I need my Snakes Alive sign. It's in the office, but I have an autographed Snakes Alive sign that I very much would hold up right now. How's, you know, I miss JJ. Tonight is a night that I need JJ, but tonight was a night that we needed some more offense for sure. They were mostly harmless at times in this one. Luis L. Ortiz was dealing on the mound for the Pirates tonight. But I do want to point out that Lourdes Gurriel, even at times, even though we don't give him King Snake often enough, and he probably deserves it on a night where he went 3 for 4, he's been excellent for this team. This is his 5th 3-hit game this season. And lately, again, he's just been quietly very good, getting multi-hit games left and right.
Which is crazy. That doesn't happen with Lourdes very often. Like he's typically a guy where it's very loud whether he is playing well or if he's playing poorly. Like when he's playing poorly, it feels like he's striking out 3 times a game. He can't touch the baseball, you know, weak ground balls, weak pop-ups. And when he's hitting well, it typically is like, oh my God, Lourdes has 9 RBI in his last 5 games. But you're right. Like, he has been pretty consistently good for this team recently. And it hasn't been the loudest of stretches, but it's encouraging.
And it's what more of this team needs to do. Like, don't get me wrong, it's great to see Gino and Jock hitting bombs. Like Jock hits that solo home run in the 6th inning once Ortiz leaves the game. That was his 15th of the year. And like, we still need our power guys, but we need more of what we're getting out of Lourdes and Gabby right now, which is not them trying to hit home runs every time they're up there. These nights are how this team wins games. They won the margin tonight. They won the margins tonight. They played good defense. And honestly, even though things didn't look great early, they didn't really let it get them down. You get Corbin Carroll. He gets the triple in that 3rd inning and scores on a Ketel Marte sac fly. Corbin almost had 2 triples in this game. He was robbed there of one of them. But again, another 1 for 4 night from Corbin. Then you have that big 6th inning once they were able to get Ortiz out of the game, who again was just kind of kept the Diamondbacks from doing very much tonight. You get the Walker walks, you get a Gurriel single, you get Gabby getting an RBI single that scores Walker, and then the winning run. Damon scores on a wild pitch that a pitcher whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce. I'm not even going to pretend that I can pronounce this man's name. I'm sure they said it on the broadcast and I heard it, but looking at it confuses and angers me. So I'm not even going to try to say it. But that's how the Diamondbacks win this game. Basically, that turns out to be the winning run. That wild pitch, crazy baseball. But the best part about this, I think, is what the Diamondbacks were able to do. Their bullpen, right? The bullpen tonight, bona fide G's, certified studs. Kevin Ginkel. I'm gonna spoiler alert. Kevin was he's not the King Snake, but he probably should have been. In retrospect, now that I'm looking back upon it.
Honestly, yeah.
Ginkel's performance tonight was probably the most important performance out of the pen, right? Gallen walks 2 there in the 7th inning, and Kevin Ginkel comes in and he's strikes out 2, does not allow any hits, any runs to score, gets 1 inning of work in, even with a guy that he starts off the night by throwing 3 balls. And it was literally like, oh shit, this is not great. Like, this felt like this was once again the Diamondbacks, what happened time and time again to this team early on. It felt like that. And instead, Ginkel turns it around literally from that moment of being down 3-0 and somehow completely gets out of it, saves Gallen from those, runners, saves himself from those inherited runs, and saves the game, basically. I mean, don't get me wrong. Paul Sewald came out, did his job. Ryan Thompson did his job. He struggled a little bit. He hit a batter. He allowed a single to Hayes. But then he locked in and he gets out of his inning without any run scoring. Paul Sewald made things a little interesting with a hit, but he did a great job tonight, only allowing the 1 hit and 2 strikeouts from him. So,
I mean, again, it wasn't clean from the bullpen necessarily.
It wasn't. It was like Zach in a way, right? Like every guy had their moment where it was like they walked the high wire, and somehow they got out of it, and it was a great night from everybody, because that's what good teams do. They don't look perfect. Things don't go perfect for you, but it's how you react in those moments and rebound from those moments not going well for you that kind of make the difference between winners and losers sometimes, and it made the difference in this game.
Nothing in baseball basically gets me as juiced as watching Kevin Ginkel screaming after he ends an inning.
Oh my God.
It's just the most electric feeling in the world as a sports fan. That guy is awesome. It looks like they mentioned it on the broadcast too, and it feels that way for sure. Like, he didn't have his best stuff to start last season, but he ramped it up right when the team needed him most, and then he was just unhittable. And it feels like that's kind of the direction that we're going in right now. But another thing that was mentioned on the broadcast, and PC Yoshi brings it up here, and I have to say something about it. He says Cruz versus Sewald with like a little cringe emoji. Steve was literally like setting the scene, like for a O'Neal Cruz game tying bomb. This guy hit the truck in batting practice today. Why do you keep rooting for this to happen? Why do you do this to us? Please stop doing this to us. It's it's like I know he's trying to pack it with drama, and I get that.
Yeah.
But as a fan,
that's exactly what it is.
It just feels like we're begging it to happen, and I can't take it anymore.
Well, and especially when, to be fair, honestly, I'm a huge fan of Steve. I love Steve. I think he's a funny guy. I think he does a great job. But his home run calls tend to, right, leave a little bit of something lacking at times. And he would build up all that drama just for, if O'Neal Cruz did hit a home run in that moment, just for him to go, there it goes. Or something like that. You know how he does when the opposing team hits a home run? He's like,
it's out of here.
And it's out of here. And he does exactly what we thought he was going to, or something like, like, why are you setting us all up for that disappointing sound you're going to make when that happens? But it didn't happen. Diamondbacks held onto this one. What were you most impressed by here? I mean, it was the bullpen the thing that really just blew you away, the way these guys, I mean, at times every one of them was in a little bit of trouble. Ginkel's wasn't his fault, but they were all in peril,
Ginkel got down 3-0 to start, and he almost loaded the bases.
Yes.
And he was able to work out of a 3-0 count and strike the guy out, and then strike the next guy out, and then get the final out on a ground out. But I mean, I wouldn't even call it like a necessarily super clean inning from him either, because we were this close to having bases loaded, no outs in that inning. But yeah, I think just the way the bullpen kind of buckled down. And I mean, you post that meme on our Twitter account all the time. They just strapped in and they got ready to go. And that's what you love to see out of the bullpen. And now we're adding just a gigantic lefty to it. And this might be the best bullpen in baseball, things considered.
It's hot. Oh, and the thing is with the way that the starting rotation could be, they might not even need to be the best bullpen in baseball, right? But like that seems like the ingredients are there very much, and again, the Diamondbacks have done a good job this year of giving guys opportunity. There is not going to be a single pitcher on this roster that can't say that Torrey didn't give them a chance to perform. And when they did perform, get higher leverage situations, maybe other than Bryce Jarvis. And you could argue that Bryce Jarvis maybe hasn't been as good as the other guys. Like Justin Martinez is a great example of one of those guys that got moved from being kind of used in that middle role to being considered one of the high leverage guys as well with the rest of this group, right? But that's the thing about it is like the Diamondbacks have been developing pitchers, and as this season goes on, they've determined more and more that they know who they can trust, who they can't trust, who is very close, and again, you have a trio right now of pitchers that are getting the job done night in, night out. And you also have, a couple of other guys that are right around those two those three guys that are also performing very well. Like they have their, bad outings. Like Paul Sewall is a guy that's still been performing well, despite that stretch of blown saves that he had that kind of made everybody lose faith in him. But he has battled back since then, and he has been, again, he's gotten the job done, and he continues to be a solid in a role that at times, no matter who Torrey puts into that role, seems to struggle and seems to not be able to handle that moment, right? The lights are too bright, shut them off, that kind of thing.
I think a lot of us are like now scared about Paul Sewald after that stretch, because that's natural with any baseball fan. Like you're going to start, it's going to get your blood pumping a little bit extra.
The doubt is there.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, if you were to like ask, 29 other fan bases in baseball, like, hey, this is player A and these are his stats, and you read them off, Paul Sewald's stats, everybody would be like, we'll find a spot for that guy. We will absolutely find a spot for that guy. Right. Like every team in baseball would want that. So yeah, while it is a little bit nerve wracking, it's not like it's not the end of the world, and he still had a really good season, all things considered. But I mean, Ryan Thompson hasn't looked as dominant as he was to start the season. Sure. And that's something that I'm monitoring a little bit more. Like he was able to work out of it today. But for sure, he's getting hit a little bit more than he was, and just allowing more base runners in general. So hopefully he can kind of hone that in a little bit. But with the way that some of our other relievers are pitching, we should be okay.
Here's the thing is I feel like Torrey is going to get to a point where he has enough weapons that he's confident in that it can be situational versus Ryan Thompson necessarily being the setup man. You have Paul Sewald that is going to close the game out. But, I mean, you have more than one club in the bag that you can go to there late, depending on matchups and what stats and data tells you and things like that. So, like, I don't think that it's the worst thing that maybe, they maybe go to AJ Puck at times there in the 8th inning, should they need that left-handed reliever in there. And I think somebody in the chat said it, but yes, I very very much trust Puck late in games more than Joe Mantiply. I think that's one of the things that it solidifies is the late inning, high leverage, left-handed reliever that the Diamondbacks know that they can count on. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. And of course, it's going to take some time for Torrey to figure out how he's going to use, all of these weapons. It's also going to take some time for, them to know for sure what this starting rotation is going to be once, Merrill Kelly and allegedly Eduardo Rodriguez come back. I still don't know if he's a real person. I don't believe it, but
yeah, I'm not. I honestly, and I said this like
I've seen him with my own eyes, so it's weird. I say it.
I said it 2 months ago. Like I'm just not gonna assume that he's like, I know jokes, haha. Like, yeah, does he even exist? But like genuinely, I'm just not gonna assume that he's gonna play until I see it with my eyes. Like,
well, you can't assume he's gonna play. You also can't assume that he's going to be good when he returns, right? Like, I mean, obviously the Diamondbacks aren't going to put somebody out there at this point. That's a liability in the starting rotation, right? We're too close to the end of the season for that. But that's not what we're hearing. Mike Hazen was talking to Jesse about being out at Salt River Fields, and he sounded very confident, very confident. And I think maybe I can stress that by speaking it more based on the conversation Jesse and I had than Jesse's article, that these guys look good out there. They are excited about getting Merrill Kelly and Eduardo Rodriguez into this starting rotation. And they wouldn't be saying that if they weren't looking at their pitches and seeing what they're able to do out there, right? Like, yes, pitching against major league pitchers is much different than pitching on the back lots at Salt River Fields, but still, it's encouraging to hear how excited they are to get these guys back, considering that they are watching them pitch and they're seeing the numbers and they're seeing what their stuff is doing. That's something that's very exciting for this team. But Brett Johnson, he's amped. He's still amped about that $60 he won. He says, here's another $5 because I'm so fucking pumped that J Love is my quarterback. He's just translating over into other sports. Big Green Bay Packers fan there, I imagine. But I'm excited for you, I guess. I'm excited that you're excited. That's what I'll say. I'm excited that you guys are here. I'm pumped that you guys are here, all 147 of you plus whoever's watching on the Twitter. But we thank you guys so much for being here. If you are on Twitter, what are you doing? Come on over to the live chat with us in here. We got all sorts of great people in here. Shout out to Ina Jackson. Ina, I hope I'm saying your name right. She always has some great comments. She says, look, Erod and Kelly and Monty have been helping each other in BP the past several weeks. Can't wait for Monday. We can't either. Make sure you like this video if you're here. Make sure you subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel if you're here. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever our shows go live, like our breaking podcast that we did last night. We did an emergency podcast about that trade, with AJ Puck, or not with AJ,
we do
for AJ Puck. Words are hard sometimes, but it's what we do. Yeah. You know what we do? We go to movies and then we get notifications that the Diamondbacks made a trade. And then we have to, decide if I'm going to leave before I see the end credits for Deadpool and Wolverine? Are you mad? There is not a transaction in the world that could have pulled me out of that theater before those lights came on. But still,
I'm not saying we're heroes.
Movies.
I'm not saying we're heroes, but much like firefighters and cops, we are always on call. But again, I'm not saying that we're heroes.
We're keeping the pagers business still active, right? Like we have a little emergency pager, and when people see that red light flashing, they know it's time to emergency podcast. But if you are listening on the audio podcasting side, we thank you guys as well. Make sure you subscribe on your favorite audio podcasting app and leave us a review. We appreciate that feedback, and of course, those 5-star reviews. They make me feel good about myself and like I'm doing a good job. Look, people tell me I do a good job, but they could be lying straight to my face. So, people don't lie when they leave reviews. They feel very morally obligated to actually tell the truth there. So we, of course, would love for you to do so. Damon, I don't know what to say more about Bet365. Their live in-game betting is incredible. They actually were a big pioneer of live in-game betting. I don't know if you knew that, but they do offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports, including esports. And I think when I stress esports, people think like, is he mocking esports? Does he love esports? Which way is he going with this? Esports are incredible. Watching people play not only sports games on video games competitively is amped and amazing, but watching them play fighting games and like Call of Duty and stuff on esports, incredible, next level. And you can get all of that on Bet365. You can also get a Bet365 early payout offer when it comes to baseball, where you're a winner if your team goes up by 5 runs in the game with an instant payout. Same game parlay and parlay selections will be marked as winners. So, of course, get down on the Bet365 app right now. You can choose between 2 new customer offers when you use our code of PHNX365 to sign up. Deposit $10 and choose between either a bet and get offer where you place a $5 bet or more, and you get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer where you can place up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you'll receive a matched refund in bonus bets. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHNX 365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Well, Indeed.com is here to help you hire better, to take care of a lot of that work for you. As
I think it's how we found AJ Puck. I think Mike Hazen.
That's what I was saying on yesterday's show. Yes, like I was like, unfortunately, left-handed relievers are not readily available at times, even on Indeed.com, right? Like that's a hard market to tap into, but so are a lot of jobs, right? There's a lot of positions that employers need to fill, and it's difficult to find people that can qualify for those positions, right? And that's part of the problem. Is putting out an application allows just anybody to apply, and you have no idea if those applicants are even qualified for the position that you're looking for. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed just doesn't help you just hire faster by giving you more candidates faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. So join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And of course, if you're looking for a job, you should also check out Indeed.com, because you could be one of these talented people that these fine folks using Indeed.com are looking for. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on the PHNX D-Backs podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Well, Damon, let's take a look at the count of this game presented by Desert Financial Credit Union. Diamondbacks outscore the Pirates 4-3. They outhit the Pirates 9-7. They did better with runners in scoring position, 1 for 6 to the Pirates 1 for 11. Don't say we did not give you chances. The extra base hits, Diamondbacks had more of those as well, including the solo home run from Jock Peterson. They outhit the Pirates with extra base hits 3-2. And then hard hit percentage, 46.2%, hard hit percentage to the Pirates, 40%. This is a clean sweep here across the board. And again, we talk about the Diamondbacks winning the margins. We talk about the Diamondbacks being one of the best defensive teams in baseball. That comes into play in a game like this. And it also comes into play that the Diamondbacks were able to at least get the job done here in the 6th inning when they finally got through, they finally got through Ortiz and what he was doing to them, and were able to get some runs against the bullpen.
That runners in scoring position combination was disgusting.
Oh yeah, 1 for 11 and 1 for 6. Try harder, guys.
2 for 17. Like you have a combined 16 hits, and then you get 2 hits with guys on second or third base. Like that's pretty brutal. But yeah, I guess good pitching matchup tonight. Like,
yeah, you got to give it up. I mean, again, Gallen did not look good. Ortiz looked very good, and the Diamondbacks tried to do what they could do against him, but it wasn't much. Again, Gallen gets that triple and he's able to score on a sac fly by Ketel Marte, but it was very minimal. It was another bare bones night there against the starting pitcher. But we knew that about this Pirates team. If you watched our preview, we talked about this Pirates team having the 3rd best ERA in all of baseball. They're quietly incredible. And Paul Skeens is part of that, but that's not just Paul Skeens. They have quite a few young studs over there for Pittsburgh. And that team, I'm telling you, that team is going to be a problem. I hope, I probably shouldn't say this, but as a baseball fan, like, I hope that they don't give up, because the Pirates organization seems to be one that always kind of seems to get close to putting it together. But I legitimately think this team could be a playoff contender by next year, if not even this season. I mean, they're right here in the mix with the D-backs.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the wild card standings before the game, and they were on a 8-game win streak, I think, right? They're playing some pretty good baseball recently, and they're above 500 even after the loss. They're the team that's directly after the Diamondbacks in the wild card race. Like, that's a squad that, we need to win these games against. Like, this is a important matchup for the Diamondbacks based off of playoff standings and what teams we're competing with for a wild card. So yeah, I mean, every game against a team like that is going to be huge, and this puts us in the driver's seat to win the series.
That's exactly right. I mean, we said it again in our preview, but these are two of the hottest teams in baseball facing off against each other here. And at least the Diamondbacks are able to take this first game. And of course, a big part of that is our king snake for tonight. And our king snake is Joc Pederson, because this man absolutely crushed a 453-foot home run in that 6th inning. It was the second longest homer by a D-back at Chase Field this season. 1 for 3 tonight with a walk. He had that home run in the RBI. And even though the wild pitch technically was the winning run in this game, Damon, it still ended up being very important that Joc Pederson hit this home run. Zach Zent is already claiming Ginkel erasure. Look, we tried to set it up. We knew. We already acknowledged the mistake we had made, I think, early on, because Kevin Ginkel definitely is as worthy, if not more so here, than Joc Pederson.
I think that home run that Joc hit really changed the momentum of the offense. Like, it gave the offense some juice, and he just crushed it so hard that it made it where it kind of just felt like the vibes switched up a little bit, which kind of is like, feels like Joc's like calling card, doesn't it? He's just the vibes guy. But yeah, I mean, I think looking back on it, we both would agree that we probably should have given it to Kevin Ginkel, because we don't win that game without him tonight.
We do not win this game without Kevin Ginkel tonight. We absolutely do not. Of course, we thank you guys for being here. Before we get Jesse in here, just want to let you guys know that Desert Financial Credit Union is the best. And if you are looking for a place to put your money, you should look for a place that you can trust. And for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that help make your life better. And that's what they are all about. Of course, they got started by helping teachers here in the Valley, and now they can help you as well. You can look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, so much more. When you open a free checking account online, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. And of course, I'm drinking yet another delicious Four Peaks beer in celebration of this Diamondbacks win. You probably should be too. Of course, that Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale, I'm all out of that because I drink those first. But yes, Bellissimo.
So good. The official beer of summer.
It's the official beer. It should be the official beer of this podcast, but Jesse won't let me make a claim like that, of course. But you should check out all the beers that Four Peaks has to offer. And maybe that's the reason why he won't let me do that, because Four Peaks has entirely too many beers to make just one beer the official beer of this podcast. So check out the Kilt Lifter, check out the Wow Wheat, check out everything that Four Peaks has to offer. Also, check out the chicken tendies. You can come back here and you can thank us later when you finally have the chicken tendies. You're like, these idiots won't shut up about chicken tenders. I don't get it. And then you'll have them and you'll come back here and be like, I'm sorry, I was wrong. You guys were right. I should have had them sooner. But go visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events. Check out at Four Peaks Brew and at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks. Cogs, and please enjoy responsibly. All right, well, let's get our boy in here, my guy, my thunderstick, your vice mayor, the one and only Jesse Friedman, coming to us live from Chase Field. What a win, Jesse. Honestly, 18th comeback win of the season for the Diamondbacks. I talked about taking the shirt down from the store. I guess the shirt stays up because this team is, in fact, the answer backs. And it's another close victory, too. That's another thing that was impressive about this win.
Absolutely. I mean, a month or two ago, D-backs down 3-0 in the second inning, right? You're asking yourself, like, what's the point of watching this game, right? Like, we've seen this movie before. When the D-backs get down by 2 runs or more, things don't usually end in their favor. And today was a change of course and a continuation of something we've seen a lot here over the last month as the Diamondbacks have played some really good baseball. They still have, fallen behind in a good number of these games. It's not like they've just dominated every single game that they've played here over the last month. It's that when they do get down, when those situations inevitably present themselves, they're finding a way to claw back. And I think Zac Gallen really set the tone for that in this game. I know you guys were talking about Jock Peterson. It certainly changed kind of the course of the night for the offense for sure. But Gallen himself just being able to lock things back in the third inning, it was a 7-pitch third inning for him after allowing 3 runs.
Yeah.
First 2 innings, a 12-pitch fourth, a 14-pitch fifth. He retired 13 of 14 hitters after that big double to Andrew McCutchen. And the second inning, obviously, his night ended on kind of a sour note with the 2 walks in the 7th. Kevin Ginkel able to step in and clean up that mess. So, it was a really impressive comeback win for the Diamondbacks and against a key opponent in this Pittsburgh Pirates team.
I think that, again, there were a lot of guys that we could probably give this to. I think Zac Gallen kind of deserved it for the way that he bounced back and had kind of a comeback within this game itself. But Kevin Ginkel, like his ability to go out there and just not allow those 2 runs to score. I mean, not only was it the 2 runs, but we talked about, Jesse, the fact that he was down those, 3-0 in the count.
Yeah.
Like his back couldn't have been more against the wall unless maybe if the bases were already loaded at that point was maybe the only way that it could have been more against the wall. But he just absolutely was incredible there to get out of that inning. And the bullpen as a whole did their job very well tonight. They all got themselves into a little bit of a pickle, but they all found a way out of it, and they all looked very solid in doing so. Like it felt like they all got stronger, much like Zac Gallen did after they allowed a base runner.
Yeah, I mean, how deflating would it have been, right? If the D-backs come out, they score 3 runs to tie the game in the 6th inning, and then or I guess at that point they had taken the lead. But then if in the top half of the 7th, Zac Gallen walks the first 2 batters he faces. Kevin Ginkel is 3-0, on Andrew McCutchen, as you said, and D-backs seemingly were in position to maybe just give back everything they had just gained, maybe give the lead back to the Pittsburgh Pirates. But yeah, Ginkel has been just so good for the Diamondbacks here over the last month plus. We said it the other day. He has been kind of the stabilizing presence for this bullpen. I know on the whole, the back end of the bullpen has been pretty good for a while now, but you've seen Ryan Thompson look a little more human. You've seen Justin Martinez go through a rough stretch. You've seen Paul Sewald obviously had that stretch of 3 straight blown saves. He came through and was able to convert this blown save tonight. But yeah, Kevin Ginkel has been just really that stabilizing presence here over the last month. And he was the man for the job. I mean, there's no other D-backs reliever that you'd rather have in a spot like that. So huge moment for him.
I'd like to thank Sean in the comments for his kind comment. He said, "I wish I knew about this pod last season. It might have helped me cope with that free fall, LOL." But it's funny he brings that up, Jesse, because here we sit now, Friday, July 26th, and July in 2024 couldn't be more different than July in 2023 for this team. This was a red hot team coming into this month a year ago, and July was historically bad for them. And instead for this team, I mean, June was a good month for the Diamondbacks. It's not like they hobbled in from June, but they did hobble in and were unsure about their future as the trade deadline approached. And here we have Mike Hazen already making that move for AJ Puck. And we have this team pulling out their 18th comeback win of the season. It feels very good, especially considering what they've done so far here in the month of July. I mean, they still have 2 more games in this series with the Pirates, but they have been very good and in fact have not lost the series so far here in the month of July. And oh man, I right as it came out of my mouth, knock on wood.
Be careful there, Derek.
I knew people were gonna get on me if they don't do the thing. But yeah, I mean, it's just been impressive, and it couldn't be more night and day versus what this month was for this team last year.
Yeah, 100%. I can't echo all of that enough. I mean, it's almost an exact reversal. I mean, I think it was kind of late June of last year where we first saw the wheels kind of coming off for this team. And I believe it was 8-16 was their final record in July a season ago. And right now we're talking about a D-backs team that has won 15 of its last 22 games. I believe that goes back to one of the last couple of days of June. So yeah, almost an exact 180. Rather than being in clear position to buy at the deadline and then falling back so much that there were questions about whether they should buy. This year's team was very much the opposite, right? It was D-backs might buy, they might sell. We don't really know what's going to happen. And then you go on a run like this, and sure enough, we're talking about the D-backs kind of getting the party started in the trade deadline by acquiring AJ Puck. So the momentum is good. The vibes are good right now.
The vibes are good.
But maybe it doesn't matter, Derek, because the Padres and the Mets may never lose a baseball game ever again. So those teams are red hot now as well.
It's ridiculous. But Jesse, I gave myself the title, by the way, of Vibes Curator, by the way. So I will be the Vibes Curator going forward. It comes with a hefty pay raise, so I hope they're ready to make that adjustment to my salary. But yeah, there was a lot of talk here in the chat. I think some of it's blaming me. So one guy's Damon Pog. We now have a Damon dog copycat. That's cool. He says Jesse looks like time. He says Jesse looks like a churro dog type of fella. And what's funny is I know that couldn't be further from the truth because Jesse's never had a churro dog in his life.
I've never had a churro dog, Derek. I'm a very financially conscious individual, and I'm not going to eat the thing by myself, right? And it's not like a super normal thing in the press box to go up to one of the other reporters like, hey, you want to split a churro dog with me? Like, that's not really a normal thing that happens. I guess if you were here, Derek, I could maybe see a scenario where I split a churro dog with you. Yeah. But I don't know. Are you even all that high? Are you even all that high on the churro dog yourself?
Okay. When you talk about eating a churro dog with another person, you talk about splitting one with like another person. I raced Bo Brock to see who could eat 3 churro dogs fastest. So we ate 6 churro dogs in a matter of 10 minutes. Both of us should be institutionalized, and I'm still not okay from that moment. But I dig the churro dog. Just again, remember, heed my warning. Ask them for the churro dog on the side. It does not belong on the ice cream or the frozen yogurt. It's frozen yogurt, I believe. It does not belong on the frozen yogurt while you are transporting it to your seat. The yogurt's going to melt. Your churro dog's going to get cold. It's all bad. So you keep it separate, and then you apply the two together upon eating, and then go at it fast because it's a time bomb. It's a ticking time bomb. You don't have a lot of time to eat it. And I mean that in more than one way, not just the eating form, but we'll move on. Jesse, I know you have some stuff from Chase Field. What do you got from the clubhouse tonight?
Do we have all the stuff? Okay. So I'm going to start with, no like actual sound from any of the players. We'll get into that in a second. I'm going to start with a still shot of Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovello, Derek.
Oh no.
Because we had a lot of fun tonight because there's a little mix up on whether us media members were supposed to go to the interview room or to the clubhouse first. We originally went to the interview room. We went over to the clubhouse. Then we wound up going back to the interview room. And when we came back, there was Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovello sitting in the second row. I believe he stole one of the reporters' notepads and has a pen. You can see him taking notes. I will not unveil what he wrote on that piece of paper, but it was very, very funny. So yes, we all came to the press interview room, and Torey was there. He was prepared. He was ready to ask the first question. It was a pretty funny moment.
Did he end up asking any questions? Did he just give the notepad back to the reporter?
Yeah, well, we had a little bit of a hang up on like who is supposed to sit at the podium because if he's there, then like
Gilbert obviously should be up there.
Steve Gilbert felt like the right choice, but Steve Gilbert, as some of you might know, was actually on the radio broadcast for a portion of today's game. Nick Pecora was also over there as well. They were a little short-handed on the broadcast side. So they were kind of shuffling a few different color commentators alongside Chris Garagiola throughout the game.
Really
but yeah,
scraping the bottom of the barrel. Did they ask you, Jesse? Did they didn't come over and ask you? No request.
They did not ask me.
They obviously do not know about your qualifications, sir.
Yeah, I was a little offended by it, but
I would be too.
I'll bounce back. But yes, eventually the press conference did start, and we did hear from Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovullo about tonight's game. And here's what Torey had to say.
Just a hard-fought win against a good baseball team, and those are the types of things we've been doing a lot lately. We hang in there, we duke it out, we find a little crack, and we start to string together good at bats. You're down whatever it was, 3-0, 3-1 with the chip, a little scratch run, and then the big inning took over. It was a really good recovery type of win. It was recovery day for Gallen, and then offensively, I thought we got on our feet at the right time to get the win. Gallen looked like he was having trouble getting into a rhythm, and then in the third inning, the secondary stuff started taking over. He's landing some pitches, and looked like he was in a really good spot, and things stabilized. I sent him back out there for the 7th inning with 87 pitches. I just felt like he's our guy. He got through the 6th, no problem, and this is my thinking. It's not right or not wrong, but the first batter gets on. He's probably one of our better fielders. I thought it was a true bunt situation, so I left him in the game to pick up a bunt. They didn't bunt. It turns into a 7-9 pitch at bat, and I got to take him off the mound after walking 2 batters. It wasn't the way we wanted it to happen, so that's the reason why I sent him back out there. I just believed he was going to get it done. Didn't happen, and that's why we have great teammates that come in the game like Kevin Ginkel, and he executed an unbelievable game plan and got us out of that mess. And then it was Ginkel to Thompson, who made pitches, and then Seawald, and just the way you want to win a baseball game. So I'm proud of these guys. We fought hard, won a big game.
Tonight is the most exactly how you drew it up kind of night for Torey, right? Like every guy on this team that the Diamondbacks that rely on for, what their strength is kind of came through, right? We had Zac Gallen doing the things Zac Gallen does, where even when he struggles early, he bounces back and gives you an incredible outing. You have Jock Peterson being the power bat that they went out and got as a DH. You have Corbin Carroll getting a triple and scoring on a sac fly with his speed, and Ketel Marte finding a way to drive him in. You had the bullpen go out there and do what the bullpen does, and it's those 3 guys that Torey has relied on all season long in order, getting the job done. Like this was a very, blueprint Diamondbacks win for Torey Lovullo.
Yeah. In many ways it was, right? I mean, Gallen for 6, and then you hand it off to Ginkel, Thompson, and Seawald. That's a recipe that we've seen, quite a bit here over the last calendar year. I did think with Gallen, he talked after the game about how he actually felt pretty good. He said he felt pretty good even in those first couple of innings. There were some unfortunate things that happened there. Palacios' 2-run single was a changeup that was down below the zone. It really wasn't all that bad of a pitch. The Rowdy Tellez hit by pitch, that was tough. That was on an 0-2 count. So some things didn't go his way there. I did think he was a little all over the place. I was maybe a little surprised to hear him make that comment. Starting the game with a 5-pitch walk is very uncharacteristic of a guy like Zac Gallen, who has such stellar command.
Andrew McCutchen still doing it to this team, Jesse.
Yeah, this isn't 2013 Andrew McCutchen. This is right. He's still getting it done. I mean, you got to have respect for the guy. Yeah. He did have a big double in this game for sure, but not a great outing by and large for Gallen, but he was able to settle in. He was still able to, pitch into the 7th inning for the first time since, I think it's been about 2 months since we've seen Gallen throw a pitch in the 7th inning. Yeah. Part of that, of course, is just due to the fact that he missed about a month with injury. But a big outing for him to be able to kind of bounce back and put the D-backs in decent position to win this game, which they ultimately did.
17 whiffs tonight, 9 of which were on his knuckle curve. So he did a good job of dropping that curveball in there. But I think the thing that he did a great job of is shaking off that first and that 2nd inning and just being dominant after that. And I mean, dominant is subjective, but he was very good. And the fact that he went out there and kind of just turned it up to 11 after that point is classic Zac Gallen stuff. Like, even when you think Zac Gallen is down and out, he's not. And that's the reason why he's such a valuable pitcher for this starting rotation. Same thing with Merrill Kelly. Merrill Kelly always showed that same ability to just, no matter how bad things got at times, still find a way to keep the team in it. And, again, they gave him just enough run support, and things are bouncing the Diamondbacks way too, Jesse. Like, the wild pitch being essentially the winning run here is a little wild of a scenario for this team.
Yeah, it is. There were some spots where they didn't really take full advantage. That wild pitch was very, very helpful for them, given that, it was first and third, nobody out. Gino Suarez, it's a line shot to the third baseman. Gabby Moreno makes a bit of a base running mistake, winds up getting doubled off first. That was a pretty rough moment. You felt like you were in really good position to take the lead there. And sure enough, the D-backs still do take the lead because of a wild pitch that looked honestly pretty blockable by Joey Bart behind the plate. So they caught a bit of a break there. Their expected batting average in this game over on StatCast, I think, was 367. So, it wasn't all just kind of like good luck, the ball bounced in their way. I think the offense actually was pretty good by and large in this game. There were some line drives, some hard hit balls that found gloves.
Lourdes 3 for 4 tonight.
Yeah. Lourdes had a big bounce back day, kind of been, looking for that from him for a while. On Jock Peterson, of course, we discussed earlier how he had probably the biggest blow in this game, that solo home run that felt like it just jump-started the offense. Here's Jock talking about that swing, as well as the Diamondbacks notching another comeback victory here tonight.
Yeah, considering I didn't put any of the other balls forward, it felt pretty good. But, yeah, he had good stuff. I think that was one of my first times facing him, but it's a really good pitcher.
453 feet, I think you said. Do you know what your longest home run is by chance? I can get a chance to look it up.
No, I don't know. But I hit that one hard.
Jock, 6 comeback wins this month. How do you describe the resiliency of this team?
It's special, It's gritty, and it's what it takes to be a good team. Sometimes you get knocked down, and you gotta get up, find a way to fight back, and finish the game strong. So that's our team's doing a great job. I think Zac showed it today when he struggled the first 2 innings and then came out and really limited the team to normal runs and kept his pitch count low. So it was very impressive.
Jesse, did he say gritty? There he is.
Of course. You're always prepared.
There he is. He's always around, just anytime someone says gritty. But it was a gritty win for this team, Jesse. It absolutely was. And I think, again, these are the type of games that good teams win. That it makes a big difference because we know not only does this matter for the Diamondbacks, but this matters with how close the Pirates are to also being in this race for one of these wild card spots. So every game right now, they have 5 more games against the Pirates in a very short amount of time. Every game in these 5 games matters against teams like this. Like the Diamondbacks have played a type of baseball Torey Lovullo has managed in a way that pisses a lot of people off, let's be honest, and it drives people crazy because of the fact that Torey tries to prepare his team in the first half of the season for the second half. But now we're to a point where we are in the second half. We are fully in the playoff race with how close things are in the National League. So every win matters, and of course this is huge. This is big that the Diamondbacks were able to come back tonight on a night where it felt like you said, it felt like once they fell behind 3-0, just kind of felt like that was it. Corbin scores on that sac fly, and that felt like very much all we were going to see. Maybe the Pirates put up a couple of more runs or something like that. And much to our surprise, much to their credit, they did not give up in this one.
Yeah, it was just a well played game for them all the way around. I guess there were some mistakes. The Gabby Moreno base running blunder, as I mentioned earlier, that wasn't great. I know Torey wasn't too happy about that. We do have one more video quickly from the clubhouse. Of course, we had to get Zac Gallen's reaction to the trade that the Diamondbacks made last night. They acquired AJ Puck, for those who don't know, in a trade with the Miami Marlins. And here's what Gallen had to say about the front office investing in this team.
I mean, it's huge. I think it just reaffirms the product that we've been putting on the field. I know obviously the first probably 2 months didn't go exactly how we had planned, but obviously battling injuries and things like that, and just maybe some bad luck and whatnot. But yeah, just I think it just energizes us really. So what it really does is that, like, okay, the front office is in on this year, as are we. So it's just kind of gonna motivate us to keep doing what we're doing.
It feels good to hear him say that, right? Like, there's definitely something about Zac Gallen being happy with the front office and the way things are going here. It just makes you feel good inside, right? But
keeping Zac Gallen happy is something that the front office,
should be a priority.
Should
be a priority.
Yeah.
What kind of, does he like croissants? What kind of fruit does he like? Like, let's just make sure that whatever Zac Gallen likes and wants, we keep it stocked and readily available. His favorite type of big league chew, I don't care. Get it for the man. But yes, I mean, AJ Puck, absolutely huge addition for this team. And it's like, again, it's big for the players, right? Like, they get to see the front office making these moves. And we talk about, like, Torrey doing stuff in a game like he did for the Royals, where he comes out and he protects his players and he gets tossed out of the game, and what that means to the team. This is kind of like the front office's version of doing that. Like, hey, we're making moves. We're not even waiting until the trade deadline. We're not even going to say, like, oh, let's see what happens against the series, with the Pirates. We're doing it now. We're not waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the D-backs they're 1-0 in the AJ Puck era, Derek.
Undefeated.
Never mind the fact that I'm pretty sure AJ Puck was not in this building at all today. Certainly wasn't in the clubhouse pregame or available to the D-backs to pitch in this game. But we did hear.
Was he watching the Miami Marlins game like Randy Arozarena was watching the Tampa Bay game?
Yeah, he was in the stands at the Marlins game. Yeah, you can understand it. Just one last time. Just wanted to get the fans' perspective. No, we do expect for AJ Puck to be with the Diamondbacks tomorrow and available out of the bullpen. Torrey mentioned there was some kind of a flight issue or something, but I know Arozarena, as you just alluded to, was not available for the Mariners tonight either. Sometimes it takes a couple of days, but I guess the more official AJ Puck era should begin tomorrow for the D-backs.
Well, we have some audio here from Mike Hazen on AJ Puck. Here's what Mike Hazen had to say about acquiring the left-hander.
We have been looking to supplement the back end of our bullpen late in games. And this was a target of ours for a while. The power left-handed is something that we don't have a ton of right now. And so trying to round out what the back end of that bullpen looks like to maximize the weapons that Torrey has at his disposal. This was a fit for us. Obviously, the control, having him for multiple seasons, is something that was very valuable, intriguing for us. We feel like once he shifted back from starting to relieving, that the relief performance was what we expect and have seen out of him in the past. And we just feel like he's a good fit. Obviously, losing Nelly and Saalfrank earlier this year, it left us in a little bit of a tight spot, leaving kind of Joe to handle the entirety of the left-handed attack plan. And we can't expect to run Joe into the ground every single night. And so that we felt like this was a good compliment. Feel like when our bullpen was at our best last year with Joe and Nelly, we had those two lefties out there, giving Torrey a lefty probably every night. And I know we have some guys that can attack lefties, but this was a good fit for us.
It's easy to forget how good Kyle Nelson. He's saying Nelly, so it's just my brain filling that in, but it's Kyle.
Yeah,
Nelson.
They're both Nelly. It's kind of. I feel like we need two different nicknames there. They both get referred to.
Someone
as
needs
Nelly.
to be Nell or something. Like we'll figure it out. But again, yes, that's a great point. It's not like the Diamondbacks purposefully, left themselves shorthanded at left-handed pitching out of the bullpen. I mean, one guy got injured, one guy made a huge mistake gambling on baseball. So, you know, now the Diamondbacks are left where, you know, yes, Mantiply was left with the majority of the workload, and that sucks. This guy, though, I mean, Jesse, just yesterday, or just not yet, I don't know what day is it. Again, I'm still not caught up on my days from our trip, but we were just talking about Carlos Estevez as an option for the Diamondbacks in the bullpen from the Los Angeles Angels, and it's wild because he's a right-hander, but his numbers were so good that we were like, this guy would be an asset for this team. It'd be huge if they could bring him over. Puck's numbers as a reliever are better than his, and he's a lefty, so he's just a solid weapon for this team, and in more ways than one. And Mike Hazen sounds like he's not entirely done potentially, right? Like he has more, but I do know that a lot of fans are mad about, you know, Davison De Los Santos. You know, what did Mike have to say about that? The pieces they gave up.
Yeah, we're not blind to it. He has huge power. He has become a better hitter. We believe that he was going to be a very good baseball player. There's no way around when you're operating as a buyer at the deadline that you're going to just be able to give up, you know, kids that aren't performing or nobody's heard of or aren't good players to get good players. And that's just something you have to make peace with. And it's hard. And it's not something that you run into casually. It's not that we're blind to what the upside could be in the future. It's not like we're teaming with guys that have the potential to do what he can do. We understand all that. But our commitment that we made this offseason and into this year, and the team has shown at this point that we need to push some of our chips in here to make this team a better team. And we're committed to doing that. We're going to continue to look at ways of doing that. This isn't hopefully the only thing we do. If it is, okay, because you never know what else is going to come around the corner, but we're still going to work pretty hard for the next 4 days to figure out if there's other ways to make the team better.
When the Diamondbacks didn't protect Davison De Los Santos from the Rule 5 draft, they knew that they were risking losing him, and they were okay with it. And they did. And the Guardians, of course, weren't able to keep him on the major league roster, and he came back. Part of that is the Diamondbacks feeling like Davison De Los Santos probably isn't going to make it as a major league player. Part of it also could be them being smart enough to know that any team that did take him in the Rule 5 draft wasn't going to be able to keep him on the major league roster because he simply wasn't ready for that yet.
Yeah.
And it's not to say he won't be, because I very much feel like this kid is going to be a power hitter in Major League Baseball that is going to one day make us regret parting ways with him. The easiest part about this, though, is that the Diamondbacks already lost him, you know, and it just makes it so much easier that if that's a player people are interested in, teams are interested in, to trade him, considering that he already was lost to another team, and by the luck of that team not keeping him on the roster, he came back to the Diamondbacks. But it's house money you're playing with at that point. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, you heard Mike there talk about how, you know, he's aware that Davison De Los Santos can do things kind of unlike anyone else in the organization, right? I mean, the raw power is probably, I mean, it might be more than anyone on the major league team. Like, his raw power is off the charts insane. And if you narrow in just on the D-backs farm system, I don't think there's anyone particularly close to Davison De Los Santos in terms of raw power. I guess Ivan Melendez would maybe come up there. But his hit tool is, you know, has been pretty shaky at this point in the minors. De Los Santos, there are questions there as well, but he's certainly made it a lot further. But yeah, I'm just reminded of the Diamondbacks' emphasis on defense and how much they value that as an organization, and how, you know, in a sense, like, you feel bad for De Los Santos. Like, the D-backs left him off the 40 ban. They allowed him to be snatched up in the Rule 5 draft. They got him back. He had a lot of success, represented them at the Futures game, you know, just a little over a week ago. And now, you know, they ship him off in a trade. But, you know, from an organizational philosophy standpoint, it kind of makes sense. Like, the Diamondbacks really value defense. And there were some indications that maybe, you know, De Los Santos wasn't putting in, you know, quite the work that the Diamondbacks were hoping that he would on that side of the ball. And, you know, he was playing third base. They moved him over to first base. I think there were still some questions about how he would fare there in the long term. So in terms of what the Diamondbacks value, it kind of makes sense why it ended this way.
Our guy Mike Dreckman is here, Jesse. Allegedly,
there we go.
Might be a fake Mike Dreckman, but Mike says, I think we have the pieces we need. The defining series for this season is going to be the Phillies series at home in August. Absolutely. And the Diamondbacks are poking the bear there by having the, NLCS or the NL ring night, right? Like that's,
yes, they are.
That's something that's definitely a little spiteful, and I like it, but and Mike also he's like Mike does own the Phillies. Like the
Phillies are gonna. I mean, Kyle Schwarber is gonna see Mike in the stands, and he's just gonna. I mean, he's not gonna be able to hit the broadside.
And Mike's
just
gonna hold his jersey up at him like this and be like, "What? All right, well, we still don't know what the Diamondbacks are gonna do here." Mike Hazen is being a bit cryptic, and not only is he being cryptic, but he makes it sound very much like the Diamondbacks are still going to add a bat and maybe another bullpen arm here, Jesse. Let's first hear what Mike had to say. Here's what Mike had to say about potentially adding some more pieces.
I think that's definitely something on our radar. From a priority standpoint, I still think, pitching probably outweighs position players for us. Like I look around the diamond on our team, and I'm not saying that, everybody can't upgrade where they need to upgrade, but we have a pretty strong position player group that's pretty diversified in its talents and its handedness, et cetera. I don't know that we're overly exposed in either direction from righty lefty. I think we have some versatility defensively. I think some of the guys that we've had have played very well for us. Gino's been smoking hot in July, and I think, Kevin Newman's been great. Obviously, Perdomo does what Perdomo does for us every single day. I think from an outfield standpoint, like Jake's having his best season. Alex, obviously, probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive center fielder in baseball. Like, there's just a lot of talent out there in a lot of different ways that I really, really like. Not saying again that that we aren't looking to upgrade certain things or there's skill sets that we need to get better at. We will look at all that stuff, but I still think pitching, being adding talent to pitching, and B, depth for the rest of the season. This is our last bite at the apple. Though that's probably the larger priority, but we're working all those things at the same time. Getting a deal done and in the books helps us to continue to focus even further on the specific needs we have.
Jesse, you and I could spend 6 hours going through potential trade candidates that are infielders, outfielders, DH candidates, potential, players that this team could add. And I feel like every single one of them, we would poke holes in why it didn't make sense for this team, or it doesn't make sense. The reason why is what Mike's saying there. Like, this is a fairly complete team. And even when guys aren't playing well, they still all have their mutant abilities, right? They all have their strengths. It's like Alec Thomas, you're willing at times to have him out there and go 0 for 4, considering what he's able to do for you in center field. Zac Gallen, again, or not Zac Gallen, excuse me. Corbin Carroll. Corbin Carroll's a guy, again, going 1 for 4 most nights. Got robbed tonight of probably a second triple, but still like a guy that, based on what he's able to do, not just at the plate, in the field, he's able to do on the base path. Like, he's just a valuable commodity at any time to help you win a baseball game. It's the pieces of this team. It's the fact that they have so many different guys that do so many different things well, that feels like this really is a complete team when it comes to their position players.
Everyone has a role, right? There's no one. And I think, like, down the stretch last season, there were, I won't go into different names, but there were guys on the team that was like, yeah, I don't really know. Like, that player's not really performing in the role that they have. It's a little unclear exactly, what they're bringing to the table right now. This roster feels different, where, maybe there are players out there that could be upgrades over guys on this roster. There certainly are. But everyone on this roster has a role. They fit into the puzzle of this baseball team somehow, some way. Right. I do think that there was something that stuck out to me there that Mike said, which is that this is their last bite at the apple. It's not just a question of trying to improve your top end talent as much as you can for a postseason run. It's also a matter of trying to make sure that you have insurance in case, various guys get hurt. Like, you have to kind of go down the road of, all right, what if so-and-so gets hurt? What do we do? What if this player gets hurt? What do we do? You want to make sure that in all of those different scenarios, I mean, some of them are, you're not going to be able to replace certain guys on this team. There's no way around that, but you want to make sure that you have a reasonable solution in place for all of those different scenarios. So,
right.
It does, I guess the big idea here is that the Diamondbacks are still looking to add. Mike Hazen made that clear today, that he hopes that the AJ Puck trade is not the only move that the Diamondbacks make here before the trade deadline. However, kind of going through all of the different scenarios, he talks about a starting pitcher. And he said that, they're more so looking at controllable starters versus rentals. Controllable starter, that's always going to be a stretch. He did mention, still looking at the bullpen. We talked about how that might be getting a little greedy, but, I guess from a depth standpoint, you can certainly understand that. So maybe there is another move or two to be had here in the next few days for this Diamondbacks team.
I want to shout out Johnny Walker for his comment and his super chat. We thank you so much for the $10 super chat. You are the man. And he says, is the 93 mile per hour Ryan Thompson sinker the best pitch in baseball? And now after reading that, I'm starting to think Johnny Walker might be Ryan Thompson. Is that you, Ryan? Like, it's fine. You can admit it if it's you. It's a burner account. Like, it's hilarious. We get it. No, but Ryan Thompson's sinker, very good sinker. Not the best pitch in baseball, unfortunately, but a very good pitch. And again, that might be kind of something you could say about this team. Like, the Diamondbacks might not be the best at a lot of things. It feels like there might always be somebody that's better. We talk about, Ketel Marte and his MVP bid. There's always going to be like a couple of guys like Ohtani and stuff that are going to just have those higher numbers and such. Like, but that's fine. Because this team, like you said, Jesse, is built like a puzzle. It's built to come together, and it's built to take that next step, hopefully, that they couldn't get done last year, and that's win a championship, which is the ultimate goal for any baseball team. So right now it does feel like things have really turned around. And again, we don't know what the future holds considering the pieces that the Diamondbacks still are going to get back. But right now, you got to give credit to this entire team for what they've been able to do while they're missing, one of their best pitchers in Merrill Kelly and one of their biggest offseason acquisitions in Eduardo Rodriguez. Like, they basically are missing components that would probably keep other teams from being 4 games above 500 where the Diamondbacks are right now. But instead, the Diamondbacks have kind of thrived lately. And again, the more that they get back, the better that this team gets.
Yeah, I think that's what separates the Diamondbacks for me from some of the other teams that they're looking up at in the standings right now. Some of those teams have had injuries. I think the Padres maybe stand out most there. Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove have both missed a lot of time this year. Point. On some level, you kind of expect that because, Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, they've both had quite a few injuries over the years. The New York Mets, not to say they haven't had any injuries this season, but that's a team that's been pretty whole over the course of the year, and they're pretty much neck and neck with a Diamondbacks team that's lacked, 2 of its best starting pitchers for basically the entire season. The same, I think, could be said for the St. Louis Cardinals, who have had some injuries, more so on the hitting side. But I still it doesn't feel like the impact there is as big as what the Diamondbacks have gone through this season. So, it definitely speaks to not only how impressive it is that the D-backs are where they are. I think being 4 games over 500 at this point is pretty impressive. It also speaks to, maybe where things could go for them in the second half.
Well, we will have one more show for you tomorrow. It was supposed to be Paul Skeens Day, but it's not. But instead, it's Randy Johnson and Luis Gonzalez Hall of Fame Day. So we will be back here tomorrow night with another post-game show. Make sure to come back here. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at @cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, the people's producer, Damon, is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's Dogs. Bark, bark. Bark. Our show is at PHNX_D-backs, but of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much again for stopping by. We appreciate your time, but we also appreciate comeback wins. You got to appreciate those, 18 of them this season. We will see you guys back here tomorrow night on Saturday for one more post-game show this week. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, by the way, make sure to check out Jesse's On the Record covering this series with the Pirates. That's available right now on YouTube as well as your audio podcasts. You can also check out our vlog from Chicago. We had a lot of fun. I made Jesse go walk around Chicago with me. He did it begrudgingly, but we still had ourselves a blast on our road trip. We went and hit in some balls and some batting cages. That was fun. So make sure to check that video out. All the wonderful content we have for you guys on our YouTube channel. Don't miss out on that. Again, we thank you guys so much for stopping by. Of course, we appreciate your time. We'll see you on Saturday. And until then, have a wonderful evening. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you never give up.
We all silly like the mayor.